Sunday, May 18, our High Priest. When Moses oversaw the construction of the temple, he was not permitted to use just any design he wished. God gave him a blueprint to follow. See to it that you make them according to the pattern which was shown you on the mountain. Exodus 25, verse 40, New King James Version. We discover in the book of Hebrews that the pattern used was that of a higher reality, the heavenly sanctuary. Read Hebrews 9, verses 11 to 15. But Christ came as high priest of the good things to come, with the greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is, not of this creation, not with the blood of goats and calves, but with his own blood he entered the most holy place once for all, having obtained eternal redemption. For if the blood of bulls and goats, and the ashes of a heifer, sprinkling the unclean, sanctifies for the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, cleanse your conscience from dead works to serve the living God? And for this reason he is the mediator of the new covenant by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions under the first covenant, that those who are called may receive the promise of the eternal inheritance. This reading is about Christ as our high priest in heaven's sanctuary. What does this teach about what he is doing for us? The earthly sanctuary foreshadowed Jesus in astonishing detail, from the priest and the offerings to the furniture and other design details. All of it speaks of Jesus. The book of Revelation, of course, is very rich in sanctuary imagery. We find the sanctuary candlestick in the opening verses, the Ark of the Covenant explicitly mentioned in chapter 4, and numerous other allusions to the temple. Without an understanding of the Old Testament sanctuary, it becomes impossible to grasp what John is driving at in his descriptions of his visions. The experiences of Israel, Paul writes, happened to them as examples, and they were written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the ages have come. 1 Corinthians 10, verse 11. And the full verse is, now all these things happened to them as examples, and they were written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the ages have come. That's the New King James Version. There is much we can learn from studying the details of the temple. In the book of Psalms, we find an important component for understanding some of these details, how God's people personally related to the temple. We catch glimpses of how David related to the sanctuary and its services, and we see the heart response of God's people to what the Messiah would do for them. It is not just the patterns that help us see Jesus. We also can mine the personal experiences of those who understood what God was teaching us through the sanctuary, and draw lessons for ourselves and for our own experiences with God. Read Psalm 122. I was glad when they said to me, let us go into the house of the Lord. Our feet have been standing within your gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem is built as a city that is compact together, where the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, to the testimony of Israel, to give thanks to the name of the Lord. For thrones are set there for judgment, the thrones of the house of David. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. Peace be within your walls, prosperity within your palaces. For the sake of my brethren and companions, I will now say, peace be within you. Because of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. Though we cannot go literally to the earthly house of the Lord, it's not there, and even if one were built in the same place, it would be meaningless. What elements are found in this psalm that can encourage us about what Christ has done for us? Notice the themes of peace, security, praise, and judgment.
Sunday, May 18. Our High Priest. Christ was without sin, else his life in human flesh and his death on the cross would have been of no more value in procuring grace for the sinner than the death of any other man. While he took upon him humanity, it was a life taken into union with deity. He could lay down his life as priest and also victim. He possessed in himself power to lay it down and take it up again. He offered himself without spot to God. The atonement of Christ sealed forever the everlasting covenant of grace. It was the fulfilling of every condition upon which God suspended the free communication of grace to the human family. Every barrier was then broken down which intercepted the freest fullness of the exercise of grace, mercy, peace, and love to the most guilty of Adam's race. Manuscript 92, 1899, paragraphs 15 and 16. As has been stated, the earthly sanctuary was built by Moses according to the pattern shown him in the mount. It was a figure for the time then present in which were offered both gifts and sacrifices. Its two holy places were patterns of things in the heavens. Christ, our great high priest, is a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle, which the Lord pitched, and not man. Hebrews chapter 9, verses 9 and 23, and chapter 8, verse 2. As in vision the Apostle John was granted a view of the temple of God in heaven, he beheld there 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne. He saw an angel having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. Revelation chapter 4, verse 5, and chapter 8, verse 3. Here the prophet was permitted to behold the first apartment of the sanctuary in heaven, and he saw there the 7 lamps of fire and the golden altar, represented by the golden candlestick and the altar of incense in the sanctuary on earth. Again the temple of God was opened, Revelation chapter 11, verse 19, and he looked within the inner veil upon the Holy of Holies. Here he beheld the ark of his testament, Revelation chapter 11, verse 19. Represented by the sacred chest constructed by Moses to contain the law of God. Moses made the earthly sanctuary according to the fashion that he had seen. Paul declares that the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry, when completed, were the patterns of things in the heavens. Acts chapter 7, verse 44, and Hebrews chapter 9, verses 21 and 23. And John says that he saw the sanctuary in heaven. That sanctuary in which Jesus ministers in our behalf is the great original of which the sanctuary built by Moses was a copy. Christ in his sanctuary, pages 54 and 55. He shall bear the glory. To Christ belongs the glory of redemption for the fallen race. Through the eternal ages, the song of the ransomed ones will be, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood, to him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Revelation chapter 1, verses 5 and 6. Christ in his sanctuary, page 130.
And remember, God is always faithful.